Welcome to the Way We See It podcast.
where we talk about politics, social justice, and culture.
I'm Tati,
And I'm Ariana.
and we are your host of this podcast. Welcome back, everybody. This is the Where We See It podcast. I am your host, Tatiana, and this is also your host, Ariana. And yeah, we're back with another episode. This is episode 46. And yeah, before we get into this week's topic, usually, if you're new here, hi, welcome, nice to meet you. But if you're a regular, which majority of you are regulars, yo quiero llorar, meaning I want to cry. But usually at this part I say follow our socials. But right now I'm gonna say if you want to find more of our content and find our social media and just us in general, you could just go to Google and type in The Way We See It with the C, and you'll instantly find our Instagram or Twitter and other platforms that play our podcasts if you want to listen.
Yeah, and we just found that out today.
So long story short, I was with my friends today after class, just some friends I made in class, and we were talking about short guys and like tall boyfriends and whatever. So I was like, oh, if you guys want to have a good laugh about that and like play it in front of your boyfriends, like I actually have a podcast called The Way We See It with a C. And instantly, as I said that, one of my friends already was like searching it up, but I didn't know she was searching it up on Google, because I usually say, oh yeah, we're on like Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. Like usually people go straight to those apps.
Yeah.
But instead she went to Google and she was like, oh, this is you? This is so official. Like, look, that's you.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the flip? It was the first time ever. Like, just how if you were to type in Orlando Bloom into Google, and his picture and his biography pulls up, and other famous people, that's kind of what pulls up with us. You see our icon, our logo, our name,
and bio,
and
our names, our first and last names.
So official, so official. Let me see. And she literally read it to me too. She was like, this is you, join host Tatiana and Ariana Toledo, as they talk about social issues and politics. And it was like, I literally, if I was not in front of people, I was gonna cry, because I mean, yeah, it's like, like, look, we're already almost at 50 episodes. Even my mom the other day was like, wow, 50 already? That's insane. I was like, yeah. And just knowing that in general, like, it isn't always hard to, I mean, it's not always easy to do the podcast. Like, we both, like, right now I feel like this is a part of our lives where we have a lot going on. Like, this is your last year of graduate school, and you're doing your internship, you're working in school. I'm in school, and I'm also working now full-time, and I'm doing a commute from Long Island to upstate.
You switch full-time?
Yeah, that's another thing.
We might have to.
Yeah, so, it's a lot. And, so it's not always easy, but here we are now. And but yeah, so if you want to search us up or listen to us or recommend us to anybody, they could just search us up on Google at The Way We See It with the C. And if you want to follow check out our website where we put our current events usually, our blogs, which we haven't really been active, if we're being honest, but we'll go back to it eventually. But if you still want to check it out, you can. And that link would be in our socials bio. So, yeah.
Just Google us and you find us right there. First link, everything.
Period. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell button, baby. Before we get into this week's topic, also, besides the Google thing, well, I just first want to thank you guys for listening to us in general, because you really don't have to, even if you have supported us at one point or another, and even if you're inactive, because a lot of people tell me like, oh yeah, I love your podcast, but I haven't listened to it in a while, and I see your video clips that you post on Instagram, but I haven't been able to, like, actually listen to it. Like, I may have started it, but I haven't listened. I'm like, it's okay, like, I totally get
understand
it.
Like, everybody's doing their own thing, as long as you like,
share,
comment,
anything
that takes 2 seconds out of your day.
And that also shows us like who's watching us, who's listening, because statistics and all that stuff. the insights. Oh, I have like the biggest knot in my hair right now. And so I just yanked my own hair. And so, but yeah, it means a lot to us. Whether you listen to us all the time or not, like, it really does mean a lot. So thank you for supporting us regardless of anything. Send you guys hearts and kisses to those listening through the podcast.
We just
did a heart.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just also want to update you guys on my life real quick, because usually our episodes have been a little bit shorter now since we don't do the current events. So, just take up some time. But like I said, you guys have known for the last 2 seasons I've been struggling to just graduate by June, and here I am now, October. I applied for graduation, so it's real. I did my applications for school, my CUNY and SUNYs. I just have to finish my college essay. It was optional, but I decided to do it.
Oh, nice.
And I got my references. I got one of them from my sociology teacher that I had a year ago. I got one of them from one of my close friends who was once my guidance counselor when I was in high school. And because me and her still have that bond. Like, she had played such a major role in my life. Yeah. And so, like, that's how I know it's, like, real right now. And I have good grades in my class. Like, it is so real. I don't know how I'm doing it.
Look how everything is aligning, bro.
No, and it's like, that's what makes me so happy, because like, I saw the other day that this month or last month was like Suicide Awareness Month.
Yes.
And I remember when we first did that in our first season. So I remember being vulnerable and talking about those things in my life that, I've gone through, whether it's comes to anxiety, depression, suicide, which I've also mentioned again previously in season 2, for a brief amount of time, whatever. But this time last year where I was and where I was struggling is nowhere close to where I am right now. And usually this time of the year is where I'm like struggling always within starting in October to maybe January. I'm always struggling. But I've been maintaining everything. It's been really hard and whatever, but like just looking at me from the past, because I do have a few videos of me, whether it's crying or me just ranting to myself on my Snapchat memories. It does, like, it does something. It shows that you've improved mentally and physically and all that stuff. So I am happy that I'm getting to this point. Will I get accepted to colleges? I don't know. That's something we'll see maybe by the end of season 3, but I don't know.
I think you will.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Because I didn't do well in those last 2 classes I had in the spring.
They're going to see the improvement.
Maybe. They're gonna be like, wow, she got A's this semester? Okay. And she has a podcast, which I know they're gonna listen to.
Oh, you put it on your resume?
Yeah.
Okay.
I said this is an extracurricular.
Okay.
Which is what I do on my free time. I mean, hello, we did 50 episodes. They're gonna be like, oh, what's she doing with all this time? She has no free time. She should be getting good grades. No, I got my podcast and work.
And
Mm-hmm.
life responsibilities.
Yeah, and my social life. There's a lot going on. But yeah, so I just wanna
I'm proud
tell
of
you guys I'm doing good. Thank you. But yeah, it's my boyfriend was like, why are you so happy? I was like, bro, because like it's a milestone in my life. It means I'm getting to the next step.
Year. You didn't see the progression?
No, of course he did. Of course he has. He's just talking his ish. Yeah. Just to get me tight. So I'm like, whatever. But anyways, getting to this week's topic is the death penalty. And why did we want to talk about this, Ariana?
Why did I want to talk about this? So yesterday, the Supreme Court has started their discussion about the death penalty, and they're specifically talking about the case that happened in the Boston Marathon, in the case of Tsarnaev.
Yeah.
That he unfortunately killed 3 people and hundreds of people were hurt.
Yeah, we get into it in a bit more detail later on throughout the episode, but that's originally why we wanted to talk about it. And I didn't even know that that's what Ariana was talking about until I started doing the document myself. And I was like, oh, I remember this.
Yeah.
Do you remember the incident?
Yeah. What was it? The year 2013?
Yeah, it was 2013.
Yeah. I remember hearing about it in the news. They called it a mass shooting.
If I was 12, she was 16. She was in high school.
Yeah, I was in high school. They called it a mass shooting, and it was obviously the people were
bombing,
participating in a race that a lot of people attend every year.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I remember hearing about it.
Yeah, I was 12, and I remember hearing about it too. I was in school when it happened, or it was in the morning right before school, and then during school I had heard about it. Like my teacher had pulled it up on the smartboard or something like this just happened. It's devastating. I was like, what the flip is going on? And I do recall hearing that his brother died, but that's pretty much it. I didn't know the case was still going on. I thought maybe he was in jail this whole time.
Yeah, I wasn't keeping up at 16 what would happen to him. I wouldn't know his name or anything.
Yeah, the only thing on my mind when I was 12 was boys and what I was eating for lunch. That's it. So anyways, getting to the death penalty. So according to Oxford Dictionary, the death penalty can be unbiasedly defined as the punishment of execution administered to someone legally convicted of a capital crime. However, there may be other people that may see the death penalty as an ultimate cruel, inhumane, and degrading punishment, regardless of who is accused, the nature or circumstances of the crime, guilt or innocence, or method of execution. And this is from amnesty.com. So, what do you think?
Thoughts of the definition?
Yeah. Honestly, when I was doing the document, it was really hard to find like the solid definition. Like I typed in what is the death penalty, and it was anything but like the actual definition from the dictionary, and it was all biased, even if it was like a .org thing, because people have their own personal organization, so it's not always, it's sometimes opinionated or based off whether they're for it or whether they're against it. So thank God I typed in definition and Oxford pulled up, so I was like, cool. But
because this definition, the last one you just read, it says it's inhumane, it's cruel, but other people may define it as not.
Yeah, because
it's just the consequences of the person's actions.
Exactly.
So you already see there's two different sides there.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into our idea of the death penalty later on also, and then the brief history of the death penalty. You don't have to read the whole thing. You can stop maybe at after Michigan and Wisconsin.
Yeah. So just to understand like how it all started, where the people came up with this idea that we should start executing people for being guilty for certain crimes. So the use of the death penalty has been used for centuries. However, the number of the use of death penalty first began to peak within the 16th century through the late 20th century. Legal executions didn't start taking place until 1630. That's dumb long ago.
Oh, I don't know why, but I thought you were talking about like the crack I had in my neck.
Oh no!
I heard a crack. I was like, oh, but what happened?
They started legal
1630, yeah,
and that's legal. So they definitely did illegal stuff before that.
Shit, yeah.
And at one point, no one wasn't safe from facing execution. Individuals that were charged with small crimes faced the death penalty until it was changed to actual crimes such as first-degree murder. Wow, first-degree murder was a death penalty thing? No.
Yeah.
Michigan was the first state to abolish the use of death penalty in 1845, and Wisconsin followed sometime later in 1848.
And on June 29th, 1972, I personally thought it was like abolished already. I thought the Supreme Court already put it out there that like it's not constitutional, it's not allowed, and some states like just choose to have it, like same thing like abortion. That's not the case. So on June 29th, 1972, the Supreme Court ruled the death penalty unconstitutional temporarily for the case called Furman versus Georgia, but was put back into place sometime later with some restrictions after revising it, because I guess they realized it was a bit too broad, so people were really like really cutting people's ears off, Wow. Like that didn't specifically happen in that case, but just in general when it came to execution, like they would do a lot of torture prior to them dying. So specifically in New York though, New York's history of capital punishment goes back to the colonial times, with the second most execution of any state from 1608 to 1972. 1972 was pretty close. Yeah,
that's like
that's just a few years before my mom was born.
Maybe 53 years ago, 54. Right?
No,
1970. What was 1972?
It's like 45 years
45,
ago.
45.
Yeah, 46.
My math was wrong.
I do it based off my mom's age. That's why.
That's what I was trying to base it on.
My mommy's still young, even though I tell her she's an old woman all the time. Anyways, so yeah, from 1608 to 1972 is how long New York has been known for the death penalty. And it's still legal in New York, actually, the death penalty. They just haven't done it since 1972. And they were the second most state to do these executions, right after Virginia as number one. And before the intervention of the electric chair, most executions were carried out by hanging, although other methods, including burning at the stake, death by fire squad, and even the breaking wheel were used. Although there were inmates on death row until 2007, no execution has taken place since Eddie Mays in 1963.
Wow.
So yeah, and
the methods of execution include beheading. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Electrocution, lethal injection, and shooting and hanging.
Yeah.
Now, are all of these legal now?
Yeah, like all states, like many of the states that have the death penalty as legal, they could choose from those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but usually the two most common ones is the lethal injection and the electrocution, which I personally think the electrocution is a bit insane.
Yes, because you're gonna feel that.
I don't even want to think about that. Like that.
I wonder, like, the people that do this to other people, because that's their job. Like,
me and Ariana were talking about that.
Are they doing okay?
Too.
Those people that have to insert the lethal injection or press the button to electrocute.
Mm-hmm.
Are those people doing okay? Like,
those people doing okay. No, I was saying that too because I was comparing it to the Nazis because I remember back in history class after World War II it was when the Nazis were involved. They were talking to people and why did they work with Hitler? Why did they do what they did? They were like, I was told to do it, so I just did it. Did I believe in it? No, but if I didn't, I was gonna die. Well, here you have the choice. Like, you applied for this job.
Yeah.
And it's so, like, weird. And I don't know. I just don't understand the point of the death penalty. Like, I'm really divided between it, guys. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm really divided between it because it's like, how can you have the power to determine whether someone lives or dies like this? And then also on top of that, still make it legal for somebody else, which is their job technically, to still do that process in killing them.
Yeah.
You know? Like, whether it's the lethal injection where they inject them and they wait for them to die, or it's the electrocution where you're literally seeing that person like convulse in a seat.
Yeah.
Waiting for them to die.
Mm-hmm.
And then even beheading. Who is doing the beheading?
Yeah, that's a
the
bit
shooting,
insane.
the hanging, like
that reminds me of colonial times.
Real colonial times. Burning at the stake, that was the witch trials that they had. And even the witch trials, I just finished learning about that in history. Majority of the people that they had killed during the witch trials, at first, it did start with like them thinking about witchcraft because it was more of a religious colony.
Mm-hmm.
But after a while, people just started blaming people that had beef with each other, basically. Like, oh yeah, like that person didn't give me my money. They deserve to die. And they were like, that person's a witch. Burn them. And like anybody that said that anybody was a witch, they would go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
Or has been
or they
possessed.
were beheaded or whatever.
Yeah.
They killed them.
So it's like insane. And who has been affected by this? We're gonna get into the stats in a second, but I wanted to ask Tatiana who it is. I kind of told her already, but still, originally.
What do you mean by?
Like, who do you think has been impacted the most from the death penalty? What race?
In terms of like, okay.
Yeah.
I see. I'm using like based on my knowledge of knowing like who's most likely to, specifically talking about race, who's most likely to be incarcerated or convicted of crimes, and I would say Black people.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say the same thing goes for the death penalty.
Yeah.
Since they're already more likely to be already in the system than compared to other races.
Me originally coming into this, I previously had already did a study on the death penalty when I was a senior in high school, which was around 3 years ago now. And I had a debate. I was given the side against the death penalty, and my friends were on the opposite side. And of course, your girl won. But when I did the studies, it was black people. And, so I'm coming into this still thinking that it's black people. But come to find out,
2021.
Yeah, 2021, 2020, the latest stats, that's not the case whatsoever. And I really wonder why. I didn't get to see why exactly that is, why it's so different now. But it's kind of bizarre. But I kind of see that it also makes a lot of sense. Because...
Why?
Because I'd be scared of white people. They'd be crazy. Not all white people. Because, you can't be stereotypical. But, I generally do see some white people. I'm like, nah, bruh, you're crazy. I don't know. So, listen. Only 108 out of the 195 countries in the world have abolished the death penalty. And according to deathpenaltyinfo.org, the use of the death penalty has declined sharply in the United States over the past 25 years. The new death sentences have fallen more than 85% since peaking at more than 300 deaths per year in the mid-1990s. And executions have declined by 75% since peaking in 98 and 1999. That's a crazy statistic right there. And especially if you're looking at the chart alone for that, look at how declined. Wait, look at this. In 1999, the highest amount of executions they had was 98 in the United States. And now, as of 2021, only 7 executions have taken place. So, literally, since basically the 21st century started, there hasn't been that many executions until maybe around 2010. I really see it started to more decline. It went from 52 executions to now 7.
So there's progress. There's still work to be done, but there is progress.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering, is decreasing because they, Supreme Court or
I don't know, maybe people are
prisons are realizing this is wrong.
Yeah, maybe the courts really try to avoid the death penalty unless it's something extremely bizarre. But even so, people that you would think would want the death penalty, let's just say, God forbid, which happens all the time, but you're a parent and your child was raped or sexually assaulted, whatever. You would go to court for that, and you would hope that the judge would be on your side and give the defendant. Is it the defendant? I don't know the
prosecutor.
Terms.
No.
You would hope that the person who insinuated those acts would get a longer jail time or maybe the death penalty, depending on if they had multiple victims. But that's never usually the case, and even people like that only get 5 months in jail. Yeah,
so, and we've seen it.
So. Yeah, we talked about it too. So, it's kind of insane that you even see those kinds of things. But I've seen people that have done psychopaths in history in general, known psychopaths like Ted Bundy. He was killed by the death penalty. Along with others, but those people, that makes sense because they were serial killers, serial rapists, know what I mean. But even so, nowadays, everything's so sugar coated in a way. Everybody's able to get away with anything. Yeah, that's how I feel. So that's the way I see it. And then continuing, so more than 75% of the murder victims in cases resulting in an execution were white. 75%. Even though nationally only 50% of murder victims generally are white. A comprehensive study of the death penalty in North Carolina found that the odds of receiving a death sentence rose by 3.5 times among those defendants whose victims were white. An average of 3.94 wrongly convicted death row prisoners have been exonerated each year since 1973. Which, I made a side note for that one because I'm not exactly sure how accurate that is. Because even now, slowly, we're finding out people who died 20, 30 years ago by the death penalty. They were innocent. And, There's been cases that I've seen of kids that were killed when they were 14 years old, black boys, 14 years old, killed because they were accused of rape, and they were proven innocent like all these years later. And you know, so that's the statistic as of right now, as of 2020, even though it's 2021, but that's the latest one so far. And continuing, since 1973, more than 185 people have been released from death row with evidence of their innocence. That's 185 people. And more people are killed with lethal injection, like I said before, and second being the electrocution. Emmett Till, that's the name of the boy.
Yeah, that's what I was looking up.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering if it was Emmett Till, was he under the death penalty, but I'm just reading real quick. It's just here, it says brutally murdered. So it was for the death, he was like sentenced, found guilty, and then put under
I believe so. I believe I saw him when I was doing the research.
Oh, okay.
But there's so many cases revolving around the death penalty and people who have been falsely like accused, and they're still going, have already been dealt with by the Supreme Court, or are still in the process of getting in touch with the Supreme Court. So that's pretty crazy. Which in general, where is it? Yeah, so the race of defendants executed right now, 55.7% of them are white, 34.2% of them are black, 8.4% of them are Hispanic, and 1.8% of them are from another. And then race of victims in death penalty cases, 75% of them are white, 16% of them are black, 7% Hispanic, and 2% other.
This is so like disproportionate. Like, and I wonder why.
Yeah, it's like
I'm trying to figure out a theory in my head, but I can't.
But isn't that so crazy? It literally says death row prisoners by race, 42% of them are white on death row, compared to black people, which now is 41. But it even said throughout this whole like PDF, which this is funny too, because I actually got my information from this
debate?
website, from my debate background.
Yeah.
But it's just obviously updated.
Yeah.
But it's like insane how much that's changed, because I remember when it was black people like overtook it, like people on death row, and now it's white people. And I generally wonder why.
I don't know. Maybe
maybe it was all those shootings.
People that realize, people who make the decisions, the judges in Supreme Court or whatever, starting to realize that there was a disproportionate amount of black people going to the death penalty, and they started to be more multiculturally aware and sensitive. I don't know, but that's mad interesting.
Yeah, guys, if you check our website where we usually upload our resources, where we put our documents, where we have our research links, if you want to click this, it's a whole fact sheet and it shows all the statistics for it. It's really bizarre. I didn't get into it deeply because it's not that deep of an episode this week, but it's insane. Like, maybe we'll retouch it later on in another season, but that's just crazy to me. But yeah, those are the stats regarding the death penalty. And now we're going to get into what's going on with the Supreme Court now and the death penalty with, what's his name? Tsarnaev.
That's already decided. Tsarnaev is guilty. That's already decided. Supreme Court justices are not considering whether Tsarnaev is guilty.
Tsarnaev. So with the Supreme Court in Tsarnaev's case. So I'm going to start I'll say the first bullet point. So just yesterday on the 13th of October, the Supreme Court had a meeting, like Ariana said, regarding an appeal of the death penalty for the Boston bomber, Tsarnaev. That's his last name, guys, by the way. And it happened in 2013. Go ahead.
So back in 2013, there was a marathon in Boston that takes place every year, and this man named Tsarnaev and his brother planted bombs that killed 3 people, and one of the people that were killed was an 8-year-old boy, which is terrible.
So
and also injured more than hundreds of people, and they even tried to kill a campus officer right after the bombing happened, but
not even tried. They did.
They did?
Yeah.
Is that a moth?
I hear a fly.
The terrorist attack led to a manhunt for the brothers and Tsarnaev's brother.
Tamerlan.
Tamerlan, he was killed in confrontation with the police. And Tsarnaev was arrested the following day, according to Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
And now Tsarnaev was supposed to face the death penalty in 2020 until a federal appeals panel in Boston set that verdict aside. I wonder what made them change their mind.
I know. It was something regarding like Boston's law or something. I think I saw. But that's why it's so like controversial right now because it's concluding that the trial judge made several errors in the penalty trial. So they're trying to basically restart it, but then they're also like, how long are you gonna prolong like his death?
Yeah, that's
like
scary.
it's been almost 8 years now, and he's been in jail for 8 years now. Because guys, remember, there's a difference between jail and prison. He's been in jail for now 8 years on death row, and now it's being debated whether or not he should really be.
Wait, is prison once you go there once you're guilty?
Yes.
So he's not guilty yet?
No, well, he was found guilty and was supposed to face the death penalty, but here he is, still alive. So I don't know. Like, this is where I get into the thing. Like, for this, I would want to say, I feel like he does deserve the death penalty, but who am I to say that? You know what I mean? That's how I feel. And same thing goes with like the actual bad people that have died from the death penalty. Like, maybe they did deserve to die, but that's that could just be my personal feeling. But to give somebody that power to actually kill them like instantly, whether it's with torture or just with the lethal injection, which is just waiting for them to die, it's like, I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me still at the same time.
And I think about those people who were killed by the death penalty, and they were wrongfully convicted. Like, they didn't even convict the crime. But
so it's like, so you'll kill people that were innocent, but not the people that are actually wrongfully convicted. Not wrongfully convicted, that actually are bad. And that's something that they said they're gonna bring up within the Supreme Court's like decision making, just like how if they do let him off the death penalty, all the potential dangerous things that can happen with him still being alive right now. Whether it's being able to get out of jail, going back into the real world, And I don't know, like I really don't know. Like, honestly, I don't want to think the worst would happen, but I would hate to think that he would also get out of jail and be out again into the world after he did a whole bombing that hurt a lot of people. Like, especially that was in 2013, only a few years after like 9/11. So I know after 9/11, because it happened in 3 different areas of the United States, not just New York, it was like very trauma, because I know people in other states and people just in general all over the world, like I feel like everybody really felt that, because it's like you didn't know if you were next. So it's like, if you're there in that moment in Boston and you see like these bombs and you see the smoke, and if you see those pictures, it's like really scary. Like, anybody who may still have PTSD from 9/11, that really could have triggered it right there, and really not knowing. And then knowing that he literally was having the time of his life with his brother and literally went to go kill a campus officer, because he was in college, he was in a university in Boston. And so and they did that, and it's just like, I don't know.
And I could imagine the people who like had the tradition to go to the Boston Marathon every year, they probably decided to not go again because they're just scared, or just scared to be at any mass gatherings, like big gatherings.
Imagine, but I also feel like prison should also be enough instead of doing
like there's life sentences.
There's life sentences, and literally what you said, a life sentence. He killed 3 people, including an 8-year-old boy that barely got to live his life, and
injured and traumatized.
PTSD is a real thing, y'all. We gotta do an episode on that, because I'd be saying PTSD, but is it really PTSD? But Yeah, guys, it's just insane. I feel like he should really get just a lifetime sentence. And then, you know, when his time comes, like, from God deciding that, you know, it's your time, that's it.
Yeah.
And then, for me, like, his fate will be decided once he's dead, like, where he's going. But, I feel like everybody should be let go to die peacefully in the way God intends to, I guess, I can say. Whether it's getting hit by a car or
karma's gonna bite him one way or another.
Karma always works.
You know what he was doing when he did that in 2013.
You heard what I said?
What?
I said, yeah, God's gonna give you your timing, whether it's getting hit by a car or just you dying in your sleep. Our time is all gonna come, basically. But still, that's like the worst. It's dark humor, guys. But yeah, so that's it, really. Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I would. From what you said earlier, like, I don't know if I'm for the best death penalty or against it. I don't know. I do believe people can change, even if they did something like really bad to other people, whether it's to physically or mentally hurt them. I think people can change.
You matter now and forever.
Oh yeah.
That's
Shout out to Meech.
Meech?
This is
A
the
friend
guy.
made it?
No, this is the actual, like, I don't know,
Company?
influencer, I would say.
Oh, okay.
That he makes
Forever.
You Matter shirts.
You
Yeah,
Matter.
he's been making it for years, and he has like different colorways. And
This is her promoting. Sponsor us.
He's really open with his like mental health, and he suffers from like he has a lot of like thoughts of suicide. So this is like his way of like promoting like you matter.
You matter. I love that. Actually, but sorry, finish your thought, and then I'll add on to that one.
Yeah, I don't know like what side I'm on. Like, I don't. What was I saying before? Let me think.
Yeah, it's just really conflicting internally.
Like, if I had like somebody close to me and somebody like hurt them in whether it's in a mass gathering or if it was just a personal attack, I would want that person to die.
Yeah.
Like that's a fact.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think people can change. But in instances where like the person like killed somebody most of the time or assaulted somebody multiple times, like let's say more than 10-20 people, then I don't know.
Yeah.
But
That's
I think
what I'm
there's
saying.
other ways to
Go by it. Yeah.
Just how I think there's other ways
to deal with your anger. Is that
how
what you're
like the jail system is set up.
Oh,
like
yeah.
That's why a lot of people they get out and then come back in.
Ariana's very passionate about that. Like, doesn't matter the topic that we're talking about, you always find a way to like mention it. I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm saying it's a good thing that you're passionate about that, because it is true that at the end of the day there are a lot of people in the jail system that don't deserve to be there, and they've gone through a lot of stuff during that process too.
Yeah,
but that's another thing.
And also one more note. I definitely do think whatever happens in this court case with Tsarnaev and the Supreme Court is gonna impact the Biden administration.
You think so?
Yeah, like if they decide not to give Tsarnaev the death penalty, the Supreme Court, this is gonna impact the Biden administration. Even though like obviously Biden's not in the Supreme Court, but like
they up
there together, like
true.
It's definitely gonna impact.
But even with the way that the founding wow, we're really having like a nice debate. I like this. Okay. But even with the way that the founding fathers, like even after they revised the Constitution and everything, they always made it so the real decisions usually fall within the Senate, Congress.
Oh, Congress.
Yeah, Congress, regardless, doesn't matter what, usually has the main power. Like Congress could do way more things and can say no to the president.
Yes.
And more ways than one, and take more actions than the president in general. So what's it called? Like it may affect the Biden administration, but it also really depends. Like if it goes to Biden and Biden's like no, and then it ends up being also brought to Congress, and then Congress and all these groups now suddenly have to have a meeting about it. Yeah. Which I highly doubt that would happen, because like I don't think they've done something big like that in like I don't know ever. I don't know.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward. Let me change the language. I'm looking forward to see what the next steps are and what's gonna how's everything gonna unfold and
Yeah.
how people are gonna respond.
Yeah, we'll definitely come back to this as an update.
Yeah.
Go in on detail. You know us, guys. But I was also gonna say, yeah, I actually like that. What's his name?
His name is Meech.
Meech. I like that he
Or
does that.
Demetrius, but we call him Meech.
We call him. She's close to him, guys.
I've met him before actually.
Really?
He had like a meet and greet years ago, and I pulled up, and he was really nice. I was like extremely nervous, and he came up to me and my cousin, my brother, and
You got a picture?
yeah.
Does he like? He's just an influencer. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't
He
sing.
like I used to watch Vine a lot, so he was like really popping on Vine.
Mm.
So that's how I knew about him, and then he
Yeah, show me
used to do
him
skits
after.
on Instagram and like had a YouTube, and like now his just thing is just being an influencer and like doing speeches at schools,
Oh, really?
and like he's really big with his merch.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
What's cool? I was gonna point that out that I really respect that you said that about him and that he does that in general because like me being how I am, I'm a closed off person, but I also don't mind being very open and vulnerable at the same time because it is important. I feel like it is really important for people to not always put up a front and not act like not be true to who you are, but also like sometimes it really is tiring to keep up a facade. And in general, like you don't know what people are going through. Like sometimes people don't always want to see a smiling face. Sometimes people want to see that there are people out there struggling just like you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally like me growing up as a fangirl, I know how much it's meant to me when I seen my favorite artists or influencers like show that side of them. Because it's like, okay, like it's not just me, and like especially because often those influencers, like for me back then it was 5 Seconds of Summer. When I was growing up, that was like a rock band, pop rock band group that One Direction founded, and I really liked them because they talked a lot about like teen struggles that I was going through, where I wanted to like run away and where I wanted to give up, and then household problems, which they were very open about, like how they grew up, and they were 16, 17, 18 at the time, and I'm 14, so I'm like totally relate, rock on. But like I like that because a lot of people tell me that like I'm really open and I tell everybody my business, but maybe back then I was, but now I'm not really like that much. But this is what I'm talking about, why it also does have a positive effect because look, you do matter.
Yeah, you were being open as you wanted people to listen to you.
Well, yeah, that too. I want my voice to be heard, and then I just know how it feels to like feel like you're alone and then find out that you're not alone. So that is a nice feeling.
Good way to end the podcast.
Yeah. I feel like these last episodes like really have been
on the road.
Hidden, yo. But yeah, guys, that basically concludes it for this week's episode. Wow, we did really well. But yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Peace.